So Spirit gave me a message. For those who don't know, I'm a guide. I channel, I get messages, and Spirit guided me to share this message. That's what the fuck I'm doing. You're gonna know if this is for you or not. If it isn't, keep scrolling. Anyway, we're gonna go fast with this. So the first card that I pulled was the Death card. So obviously, like, there's a transformation that's happening. Something is dying, something is falling away, something is leaving. This is probably something that has been going on for a while. Like, I don't think that this is going to be something that like surprises you. Like, there's probably something that you have been kind of like just pushing through for however long that you're just irritated of, but like you feel like you have to continue going because there's something, you know, greater on the other side, and like you're having to like trust and just know that things are going to work out. But like, you don't know exactly how this is gonna work out. You know, like, your ideal outcome, but like that's about all that you know. So stuff is dying. I asked for more clarification on this. I asked Spirit, like, okay, but what exactly is dying? How can we like know if we're in this transformation process and if like new things are trying to emerge? And I pulled 3 cards. So the first card was the 5 of Wands. So this is like in the tarot kind of like competitive energy, right? Like, the way that it was coming up for me was very much like, you know, competitive energy at work, and like, you know, even a little bit just like in relationships, you know, like feeling like there's this like underlying tension that people kind of have beef with you, or like, you know, they're just kind of like feeling a way about you that they may not necessarily be fully communicating, and like you're feeling kind of this like bad energy when you're around them, or you're feeling anxious when you're around them, or you're feeling like low or drained or sad or just like depressed, you know, pessimistic, whatever, like when you're dealing with certain people. And you know, you might have been in a space where you were kind of like, I don't know, I got random hairs on my lips, I got lip gloss on, and my dog is right next to me. But anyway, you might have been finding yourself in situations where like you're entertaining things that you wouldn't have normally, like, you know, feeling the need to defend yourself, you know, with people that like you don't even respect like that, or, you know, just getting into like petty gossip, or like, you know, tit for tat, just like high school bullshit, you know, or even just like arguments with a partner or a spouse, or, you know, a close friend that are kind of like power plays almost. Like, maybe it doesn't like read that way in the surface, but like if you really sat with it and kind of got to the bottom of like what was motivating that behavior, you would see that it was like you fighting for control or for dominance, or, you know, maybe you're just like feeling so tired of being unheard, or like, you know, there's something that you've just been kind of dealing with in this relationship that, you know, you're kind of at your wit's end with it. Like, you're tired of having to like pretend to be okay with it, or like make the best of it, or like try to not let it get to you, whatever. Like, you're just kind of over having to continue to exist in that space. And like, you know, there might have even been some like comparison, and, you know, feeling like, oh, am I doing the right things or whatever. But like, this card is telling me, like, if this is what's dying, the energy of this card is just like, why compete when you don't compare? You know what I mean? Like, these people are beneath you, like, you know, like, and I don't mean that in any kind of like hierarchical way necessarily, but just like, these are not people you respect. Like, you know, like, they are not living lives that you want. Like, they are clearly running from themselves, like very unaware in a lot of different ways. Like, these are not people that you need to convince or prove anything to. Like, you don't need to prove anything to anyone, but especially like not these bitches, you know. And then the next card I pulled, because I was like, is there anything else that's dying, I got the 5 of Cups. So like, the 5 of Cups you can think of as like, you know, kind of like being ungrateful, or not even just being ungrateful, but like being really pessimistic, like only seeing the bad in the situation, or like, you know, feeling like, or maybe even overemphasizing the good, and like because you didn't get that good thing that you wanted, or because those like really high expectations that you set on this situation were so idealistic and like pedestalized, that like when they didn't amount to anything, it just felt like the biggest burden ever. Like, if you look at the actual imagery of the card, it's like, you know, he's looking at these 3 cups that are like, you know, empty or whatever, and not seeing the 2 cups behind him that are completely full and just waiting for him to use, you know. So like, I low-key think of this as like loser mentality card, you know, like very much like, you know, you could choose to like only see the bad in a situation. You could choose to see yourself as like, oh, these people did this to me, and like everything sucks, and like I'm the worst person ever. Or like, you could boss up and stop being a loser and stop being a victim of your circumstances, right? Like, I feel like the reason I got so good at alchemy, and, you know, is because like beyond just like taking risk and like doing things and betting on myself, is because like even when bad things happen, like I have the mentality of I'm leaving here with something, you know, like that Denzel Washington interview where he was like, I'm leaving here with something. Like, that's very much my attitude. Like, I'm never going to like be a loser in any situation. Like, no matter what happens to me, no matter what people do to me, no matter what like transpires in my life, like I'm walking away with something because I'm a winner. Like, I'm not losing shit, you know. Like, I'm never walking away as a failure from any single scenario. So like, this is just a message to let go of that way of seeing the world, let go of that loser mentality, like let go of feeling like you're a victim and like life is just exacting itself on you. Like, if you think of like you and life as partners, and like think of it as like 100%, if you're only like 10% showing up in your life, like life is pushing the other 90%. So yeah, you're gonna feel like life is like voodoo stomping on your head, you know what I mean? But that means that you need to be more of an active force in your own life in particular. So that's that one. And then the last thing that I asked about that, like, you know, is dying, is the Two of Cups in reverse. So like, this is very much like, you know, codependency and like, you know, like lack of harmony in relationships. Like, you guys are fighting, there's a lot of bickering, like you can't get on the same page, or like you're over giving because you're trying to keep the peace, or you know, there's like building resentment on like one or both sides of the dynamic because people are just like not showing up authentically, or like not setting good boundaries like with themselves, you know, right, in the ways that they're showing up, you know. Because I feel like we think about boundaries as like, you know, stuff that we're supposed to force on other people, but like boundaries are for you. Like, you don't even have to communicate your boundaries. Like, if you decide that like, okay, I like right now, like for me, like I've been working a lot, so like I don't have a lot of free time. So like something I've had to do is just be like, look, I can't be doing no phone calls no more. Like, I'm sorry, I know people haven't heard from me in whatever amount of time, and like I've been still like intermittently here and there trying to reach out to people I haven't spoken to in a minute, but like I'm just not at a point right now where I have the capacity to like give away the little time that I have to being on the phone with people, you know. Like, even just calling all my relatives on Easter yesterday was just like a lot, you know what I mean? So like, that doesn't mean I have to now go out to like all my friends like, oh, don't call me, whatever. But like, if a friend is trying to schedule a call with me, I had to just be like, yeah, like you're gonna have to voice memo it up, mamas. Like, I just don't have it, you know what I mean? So like, what are some boundaries that you could be setting to stop being in a space where you are in these codependent relationships, or like having to, you know, bite your tongue or whatever, and like have this resentment building up, you know what I mean? And the other card that I pulled before clarifying the Death card was the Chariot. So like, you are ultimately going to be victorious, right? Like, there is a way out of this. Like, you are going to overcome these challenges. But like, the thing about the Chariot card, it's not just like some random victory, right? Like, you're overcoming this because you're using control, you're practicing good control and focus, right? Like, you're being intentional about how you know, show up in the world, show up with yourself, like, you know, manage what's going on with you internally. Like, you're being very precise and disciplined about that. Like, that's the key. Like, that's how I personally have been like trying to move through this space where I've just been feeling like so burnt out and like just over everything. Like, how can I like get back into this driver's seat of my life? This is how. Control and focus, you know what I mean? And if we think about like this card as like the weapons at your arsenal, right? Like, this is war shit. Like, she on that Chariot, she going into war right now, you know? Or you could think of it as like the victory at the end, where she's like kind of making that triumphant run. But like, either way, like some kind of battle has taken place, right? And like, the weapons and tools that you have at your arsenal to come out of this season and usher in those new beginnings that this Death card is trying to make way for is through using your control and focus. And they gave us the exact ways that we can weaponize that focus for our benefit, right? Like, if you look at the stuff that's dying, right? Like the Five of Wands, like competitive spirit, you know how you defeat that? Compassion for yourself and compassion for others. Because if you're compassionate for yourself, or like however you're feeling in a particular situation, like that already like brings you closer to yourself. And if you're compassionate for that other person, you're not going to return that energy, because it's just like, why? You can see why they're doing it. So they're going to be forced to have to like sit with that energy on their own. And like, so just by you making that decision, like, you are making yourself and like everyone around you better. And then with the Five of Cups, like, this is clearly just gratitude, bitch. There's always something to be grateful for. There's always something you gain. There was always some good times, some joy, some fun. Like, that has always been on the table. Take the time and space to reflect and like get back into the space of gratitude, so you can see like, damn, I'm actually like doing okay. Like, shit is all right. Like, I'm gonna be fine. I had talked about how the Five of Wands was the first card that came to clarify the Death card, and how that's about like competitive energy. I mean, you can kind of see like they're all at each other's throats basically, but like this is also, you know, internal stuff too, like competing, like I said before, like being in this like comparison space of like feeling like shit, you know, when you see certain people doing things that you might want to do, or things that you thought you would have done by now. Like I definitely found myself in that space like more than once over the last month, you know what I mean? And I think it's because I've felt this kind of disquietude at like not just my current circumstances, but just like just having to sit with the grief of, you know, the version of me when I made certain decisions, and like what I thought was going to come to fruition when I made those choices. Kind of being in this space now where I'm like, like things don't really like look like that right now, but like that doesn't mean that there aren't like things to be like happy about or like grateful for or whatever. But just like making an active effort to, you know, not sit in that energy of comparison and like competing, or even competing with like other people, you know, and like people who are trying to neg you or project onto you to get a reaction out of you or whatever, so they can feel like, oh yeah, like, you know, she's the one who's nasty and mean or whatever. Like they're just putting their emotions on you so that you will reflect that back to them, and they can convince themselves that like you were the one in that like stuck up like mean girl energy, and like not them, the person who projected that onto you. So when you can practice compassion for yourself and for the other person, like they are forced to sit and reconcile with the fact that they are the only ones who are existing in that low vibrational energy. Like they're the only ones who are, you know, continuing to reinforce that dynamic. So like by just disengaging and like practicing compassion, like you are not going to reinforce something that you do not want to experience, and you're going to reinforce something that you do want to experience, which is like love for yourself, compassion for yourself, greater self-acceptance. Like you only win, right? So that's the lesson in this card. Yes, what's dying is competition, but what's being revealed as your secret tool and weapon that you've learned from being in this space of competition is compassion is the way to defeat it. And then talked about the Five of Cups, which was the second thing that was dying, which is this energy of like being super pessimistic, feeling like life is against you and you're like a loser or whatever, and just like recognizing that there's always something to be grateful for. There's always something to gain from every experience. Like there's not a single, you know, risk that you take that does not have some reward, right? Because you always learn something, you always leave with something. There was always one good thing that you can think of with like every single thing that you go through. So how can you put it upon yourself to practice actually like intentionally looking for those things and allowing the energy of gratitude to like fill your spirit and like put you in a space of this like higher vibrational energy that only invites more to be grateful for just by you sitting in that space. So that one, the lesson of pessimism and like defeating that, you know, defeatist mindset and disappointing despair energy is gratitude. And then the final card for like what's dying was the Two of Cups. The Two of Cups here in reverse represents like codependency, you know, being out of harmony with a partner, being in disalignment with yourself, you know, like not being in a flow state in, you know, whatever scenario, usually relationally. And like that can be just, again, like the relationship with yourself. It can be in a, you know, partner dynamic, a close friend, you know, a coworker, manager, supervisor, and subordinate relationship, whatever, right? Like there's something that's like not fully like what it's supposed to be. There's like a misalignment, there's a disconnect of some kind. Someone is either over giving, or someone is not playing their position, you know, someone's withholding, you know, lying, you know, being deceitful, whatever. There's some kind of like growing resentment happening in your relationships. And the secret weapon for this card, like, because again, we're getting all these weapons because of the Chariot, right? Like the reason why we can understand that in the wisdom of these things that are dying is the actual weapons and the tools that we can apply to whatever that new thing that is coming in for us on the other side of this like victory in battle. Like it is the victory that we're getting is being ushered in by us utilizing the wisdom and the tools that are being revealed and unearthed through these pressurized situations that came as a result of what is dying, right? Like you being in these pressurized situations that put you in a codependent space, that made you a martyr, that, you know, put you in a space to be growing in resentment. Like the hidden wisdom in that, right? The weapon that's being unearthed from the lava, right? Like how they fashion the weapons through iron and whatever by like burning them down and like beating them down into shape or whatever. Like that, not to say you getting beaten down, but like maybe it felt like that, girl. Like maybe life, it really felt like it was 8 times stopping on you, you know? And so if you can take the time to actually like sit with like, okay, what exactly am I getting from this? Why could this be happening? What exactly like is this showing me about myself, right? The ways in which you can take from that scenario in these like high pressurized relationships you've been in is boundary setting. And like boundaries are for you to set for yourself. They're not things to force or exact on other people. The boundaries are for you. And it's again using this like control and focus, recognizing that like your weapons all stem from here. How well can you handle your control and your focus, right? Like how can you weaponize that energy for your good? And actually, I forgot that I did this. I drew something to kind of explain it, right? It's like, okay, if this is the weapon, right? Your focus and control, it all comes from here, right? Like this is, oh my God, it's backwards. This is like attention and energy, right? Like using your attention and your energy and self-discipline. I'm gonna just like put a picture of this. Using your energy, attention, and focus for your benefit. The way that you do that is through compassion, through gratitude, and through boundaries. Okay? And once you're able to do that, you will be victorious. And others on the other side of that victory, because to clarify the Chariot, I got the Ace of Pentacles in reverse, which to me reads as, you know, there's an opportunity that wants to come through that is being like blocked or delayed for whatever reason. I think that by having this victory on the other side of that, this is going to flip. Whatever has been waiting for you to just like step aside and let shit shake is going to be moved. It's all going to work out once you do that. And on the back of the deck was the Magician card, which to me I read as like the undercurrent of like the reading itself. And like that is you existing in this co-creative energy. That is you like showing up with life and being a co-creator with life in this algorithmic way, right? Like I am, you know, being laser intent with the way that I'm like focusing my energy. I'm being so mindful of where I'm putting my focus and what I'm getting my energy to, because you know, I could, you know, exist in this competitive energy, but I'm not. So I'm going to practice compassion. I could be in this defeatist mode, but I'm not. I'm going to practice gratitude. I could be codependent and get resentful when a certain person doesn't do this thing that like I wanted them to do. Or I could just set the boundary that like, I'm not going to repeat myself after I say something. If the behavior continues, I remove myself, right? Like that is how you unblock what is trying to come through for you, right? That's the reading. We got through it. Thank you for being here.